Today on the podcast, we want to talk about a really interesting company called that has just raised $15 million for a new startup. It's building AI sales engineers. I think this is fascinating, and it's essentially coming from some alumni who used to work over at ZoomInfo, so they have a pretty solid background. Jamie, what are you seeing on this?
Yes, it's called Docket AI, and it's a really interesting concept. And I love business models like this where it's actually a practical use case for AI for businesses. But before we get into talking about that, I want to mention our video sponsor or our podcast sponsor for the day is our school community, AI Hustle. If you haven't checked it out yet, you should definitely go check it out. For a limited time only, it's $5 a month. We have over 80 members, and it's going to go up to $50 a month. So for this week only, hop on over and jump in. We talk about all of our AI hustles we do, or just internet hustles, how we make money online. We take deep dives and have bonus content on there that you will not get on this podcast. So make sure you go sign up for that. But anyways, let's get into this Docket AI, a virtual sales engineer. So they raised $15 million. Jaden, where do you see this going as far as practical use case for businesses?
So the first thing I want to say is I think that this is quite exciting from a lot of different perspectives, whether that's just for sales or there's a lot of different use cases. I love the idea of having an AI that is able to actually do outreach and conversation nurturing, right? So if you have a business and you want to do sales for it, this might be a phenomenal tool. But I think whether it's this or another tool, the concept is really exciting for me, that you have essentially an agent that can go out, do prospecting and do lead nurturing and have these conversations with people. I think, this eventually goes to a place where something I've just spent so much time doing in the past was influencer outreach. I previously running my software startup Self-Pause, which is an AI life coach. One of the biggest ways we grew that startup to over 130,000 users was YouTubers, and we did some big programs and promotions with Instagram as well. But I spent so much time with massive spreadsheets, just putting people's name in, putting YouTubers' names in, seeing how active they were, how many subscribers or followers they had, how active their pages were, sending them emails, following up with emails. Sometimes it'd be I'd send 5 follow-up emails over the course of 6 months, and finally they'd get back to me, and then we'd work out a deal, and then you got to negotiate prices, and then you got to do the whole thing. And those were the most successful. I think I got the best bang for my buck. I think I got the most just users period from doing those things. But it was a lot of work. It was an insane amount of work, and the time is very small. I did everything myself. And I can only imagine how amazing it would be to have a tool like this, except not the sales version, maybe more of an outreach version. Or maybe you could, jerry rig a tool like this that just does that outreach, does that nurturing, does that talking, does that negotiating. You put in parameters look, usually if they have this many subscribers and they're getting this many contents and comments and this many views, we want to pay, between this and this amount, try to negotiate something, try to say all these different things. You could essentially train one of these things to go out and do all that work for you. No one can convince me this is not worth an insane amount of money, because it would it could have saved me weeks and weeks of work. And what would I pay for that? Anything, right?
Yeah, I think, cold outreach is a strategy that works. It just takes an insane amount of time. Like you said, if you have, 1 out of every 200 people you reach out to gets back to you, that's, like you said, an insane amount of work. So if you can have an AI do that cold outreach for you, at least the first couple interactions, and then you can take over. I feel like that's going to be a huge time saver. We had a company on here a couple months back called Warmly. They do something similar. It's less of cold outreach though, and more filtering through leads that come into your website. But this is a really exciting concept that it can, we'll be doing cold outreach for you. So I think getting familiar with tools like this and being kind of on the cutting edge of when these are released, I think is really important, especially, we've mentioned on here before, a great business model would be consulting, AI consulting. And if you can go to a business and increase their ROI through AI tools, you're going to be able to, get your bag a little bit too. So what do you think, Jaden?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So there's actually I want to bring it back a little bit to the Docket AI and kind of what they're doing, just highlighting this because I think this is actually quite interesting. The backstory is that Pillai, who kind of started it, he was working at ZoomInfo, it was a big company. He started a couple companies and sold them. One of them was bought by ZoomInfo, so that's how he kind of started working there. ChatGPT came out. He was like, oh my gosh, I want to kind of start my own thing. And there's a whole article about this on TechCrunch, but this is something interesting it says, while working at ZoomInfo, Pillai noticed that sales engineers who are technical sales experts were getting pulled into various conversations with prospective buyers, including some that didn't require their expertise. A lot of account executives ask them complicated but rather routine questions. And he says that this is, quote, bringing a sales engineer to every call is expensive, super ineffective, and takes a lot of time. So the opportunity that he saw that he decided he wanted to kind of like fill was to build an AI version of the sales engineer. So Docket AI, their company, essentially what it's doing is helping non-technical salespeople get much quicker answers to technical questions and also get assistance in writing up requests for proposals and other documents. So it's not like this completely replaces sales engineers, but it really frees up their time to work on what he says are, more interesting, complex, and strategic enterprise deals. And, sales engineers, it's kind of this interesting place where, especially when you're doing B2B software sales, you have the salespeople that are great at doing sales, and you have engineers that really understand the product, but you have to merge those two together. And so that's kind of what they're trying to do here, create a tool that merges that together, because not any, software salesman can sell any piece of software, because you have to have oftentimes a very complex kind of understanding of how that software works, especially when it's like, technical, built for engineers and developers. I don't know, half the tools my engineers and developers use working on AI Box, my software startup that I'm running right now. And so, there's no way I would be able to be a salesperson for any of those tools. I would have to find, one of the engineers would have to do it, but engineers traditionally don't love to be salespeople. So there's kind of this tricky bit, and they're kind of solving for that. So I think that's really exciting. They raised $15 million as their Series A, which I think is awesome. This thing started, I think, back in 2023, so not very old. I think this is just a testament to how much AI is enhancing and augmenting any business that you, the listener, whoever's listening to this, that you are working on. These companies are being started and within a year funded. They're seeing, and there's not just like all hype. There's obviously a ton of value that I think they're offering for people. And so I think this is a very exciting time to be working, integrating AI, like whatever your business is. I just think my big takeaway from kind of the story is you need to be figuring out the ways to integrate AI into it. You need to be able to really use that, leverage it to 10x what you're doing, because there is a way. It might take research. It might be like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I'm too busy to figure this AI thing out. It's like, take a weekend or take a day in the week, just block it off and go systematically through and try all of the different AI tools that you've heard us talking about or you've heard other people talking about that you haven't tried. I know there's some, because I am the same way. There's a bunch of tools I probably haven't tried that I've talked about or had other people talk about. So make sure you're on ChatGPT, Anthropic, Midjourney, Dolly, 11 Labs, Perplexity. Go try out, Pika Labs for video, or Runway. I guess if you're going to do video, do Runway. Like just these basic big players. If you haven't done it, this is, I guess, my kind of call out. Make sure that you take some time and test them all out. You need to know what's possible and what you can integrate into your business, because there really is ways that this AI can dramatically speed up and help you do what you're doing faster and better.
Yeah, and I would say, to add to that, this is just an idea that came to my head, but I feel like there's actually a lot of opportunity for the average listener who maybe even doesn't have a business to learn these industries, learn these different tools. And if you can come up with a way to explain it in a clear way, you're going to be able to maybe even sell that product and become an affiliate for some of these products. So, and there's a lot of opportunity with some of these, especially in the B2B space. Like one contract, if you could sell it to a company, maybe worth, $1,000 a month to you. So it wouldn't take long for you to build up a really good affiliate network if you can understand some of these tools and then explain it to a business and how it will add value to them. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And maybe we should do an episode on this for the school community, because I think I need to get on this.
That is exactly what I was thinking, Jamie. If you want to hear us break down the strategy exactly, because my wheels are spinning like crazy, join our school community. The link is in the description. We're going to break down this exact strategy and how I think you could make a lot of money doing this on our next episode over there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go join the school community for the next bit of this. That's going to be exciting. Hope you all have an amazing rest of your day.